The Irrational Confidence Podcast. Smith has got this Spartan team playing really tough. And again, it's just a continuation of what we saw over at Oregon State by him. But Ohio State is going on the road for the first time this year. They are 24-point road favorite up in East Lansing. Over-under in this game is 48.5. Listen, you talk about Ohio State's first three games, Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall. It is what it is, folks. Every couple of years, Ohio State's going to have a cupcake schedule. Every team does it on occasion. Just happens to be this year for the Buckeyes. Yeah, not worried about it. Rather do that and stay healthy because they got some big games coming up. I think this is the first one. Judkins has been the man for Ohio State. Fresh, talk to us. What's different? Let me ask you this question. So let's start, instead of looking at the two teams, let me ask you this question. What do you think the biggest difference Smith has done in East Lansing to really kind of, I don't want to say completely turn around the Spartans, but put Michigan State pointing in the right direction, trending up as a program?
Discipline and physicality. Kind of reminds me of a Mike D'Antonio
It's a good point.
experience. Mel Tucker, it was more flash in the pan, and they were undefeated, and they showed up in Columbus, and that game was over before the second drive the Buckeyes had. And then it all kind of fell apart from there. And it's kind of just been a mess for the past couple of years trying to deal with all that. Jonathan Smith, it's not going to be a one-year fix. It's going to be a multi-year fix. But discipline, holding players accountable, and being physical. That's what he was at Oregon State. They were physical at the line of scrimmage. They ran the ball. They threw play action when they wanted to. And they had an edge about them to be in the right place at the right time, defensively and offensively, and execute. That is the exact same philosophy I'm starting to see the blueprint being put up there in East Lansing. It's not going to help them on Saturday. It won't help them this year, but the foundation is being set. So I expect them to come out here against Ohio State and be competitive early. Ohio State will pull away, but they're going to be competitive. And that's going to be a foundation to look back and be like, hey, you know what? They came up here at the end of September last year. We played with them for a first half. We played with them for 2.5 quarters. That's a checkpoint and a gauge of we have to get from there to the next point going into the next year. And then, from a physicality standpoint, we're going to hit you in the mouth. We're going to play the whistle. We are going to show up on every single play, make sure we're on that field and not lay down. We have seen teams lay down in the past, sort of just give up after you get a couple of touchdowns. Like, all right, whether it's the NFL, Jaguars, I'm talking about you, or other teams,
Browns.
I got a feeling that mentality, you have to change that culture, and Jonathan Smith's going to do that. Physical and discipline will pay off 3 years from now and put them in Big Ten race. This week, I still think they have the weapons yet, but that foundation is being set.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's interesting because, you looked at this game early on in the season, you think, Sparty's not going to be any good. It's Mel Tucker made that a wasteland. And again, Jonathan Smith's done a great job. Aiden Childs, give him credit. I know people will point to the interceptions, but we've had this conversation before where we both feel that there are certain times, and we talked about this maybe with Nico down in Tennessee, although he's kind of proven us a little wrong on this. But if you have a young quarterback who you know that you're only going to have maybe for 3 years, probably not going to have for that fourth, make the kid take his lumps. And I think that's what Jonathan Smith's doing to Aiden Childs is take your lumps this year, kid, get used to the speed of this game, get used to the physicality, and learn and being able to feed on your experience. And I legitimately think Aiden Childs will take a huge jump, whether we see a moment this season where we're just like, wow, Aiden Childs went off, or if it's maybe in the bowl game or early into next season leading this, where I think that there's a lot of benefit of what they're going through right now. But again, you said a great point about them being physical up there in East Lansing. This is a physical football team with their ability to run the football.
Well, you kind of look at, you probably point of Childs and developing quarterbacks. There's a philosophy like, we need to set them in the NFL. We need to let them learn behind the guy in front of us. But on the other side, sometimes you got to be like a Peyton Manning. Just get out there the first year, learn through experience, learn through game action. You can always see stuff in film. You can see stuff in practice. But you know what? He's going to go through all these motions. He's like, you know what? I saw that coverage last time. I know exactly where I made a mistake before. Now I'm going to rejudge how I'm going to take this approach, make a different throw, maybe dial it back. You've seen the excitement where he's a young quarterback. He just wants to throw a million miles an hour. Instead of, you know what? I can take the dunk down. I can take the check down route, get the completion, keep the drive going, as opposed to I'm going for the 30-yard, 40-yard, 50-yard, game breaker, which might have double coverage. You might have the safety over top that you don't see. You take the check down, you get 6, 7 yard ball control, learning the football game from that perspective of growing up. And I think that's also what Jonathan Smith's going to help do is mature him, have that communication, have that experience and that growth. And then you will start to see get paid dividends in bigger games down the road.
This Ohio State offense, too, man. I don't know how Michigan State's going to match up with this Ohio State offense. Judkins, I mean, we're seeing the form of Judkins that we saw in his freshman year, where the kid was an absolute monster. And then on top of that, well, you have a two-headed monster with him and Henderson. And then Jeremiah Smith has just been a dude. Like, that guy is the real deal. You can understand why he was the number one rated recruit on the season. 14 catches, 281, and 4 touchdowns. Yeah, we can talk all about the competition, but the kid's a freshman.
It's still him and Ryan Williams have shown up day one and making plays left and right, and they are the real deal. But the offense. Howard is still want to see more from him, but Judkins playing well. Henderson, Emeka Buka, Smith, they're getting it done. And defensively, all the things that are being worked on that Jim Knowles defense, getting guys experience, rotating them in, rotating them out. I saw somebody laugh like Caleb Downs gave up 2 touchdowns. Like, dude, they're in preseason training right now. They are not trying. Those guys are going at 80%, maybe 75%. They're dialed it back. They're going to be trying out new formations, new communications. That's what you have the benefit of these 3 games right here.
Right.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to make a call, which I would probably never call in a normal situation in this game. Or I want to see how it looks because I'm getting the look from them, and I'll use it down the road later on. But I want to teach the guys with live film. That's what this is all about. They've had those 3. Now you have to turn those 3 preseason games, quote unquote, into reality as you build up toward your game versus Oregon, versus the game versus Michigan because Michigan's looking a little better, and so on and so forth. Everyone already kind of knows Ohio State should run through the Big Ten, but how can you build yourself and be ready for the playoff? That's where they're going to make their meet, and that's where the expectations of the team is going to be. It's going to be Saturday of Thanksgiving weekend, and then in the playoff, how does Ohio State respond, and are they worthy of making that run and winning those big games when they matter deep in the end of the year?
I saw one person, and again, this is on Twitter, so again, take it with a huge grain of salt here. But they made the point out that during the first 2 drives against Marshall last week, is Ohio State lined up in defensive formations that were different than what they had lined up in the previous 2 games. Like you hadn't seen the same type of defensive personnel and defensive lineup. And really what that screams to me is that Jim Knowles is trying stuff out. And again, you said it perfectly there, Fresh, where he goes, listen, we're going to try something out. We know we're going to come back and win in this football game. We're not going to lose these games here. Let's put this on live film so we have teachable moments. So, okay, you're in this defense. We're going up against a team that is going to do this. And here's where the play broke down. This is what you should do instead. And again, you have teachable moments where you put those things on tape. I want to see more out of the Ohio State pass rush. 9 sacks on the year with the level of competition you played is a little bit on the light side in my eyes. I want to see a better pass rush as well. Ohio State struggled a little bit with a mobile quarterback. Aiden Childs can get after and run. So how are you going to contain Aiden Childs in this one? Fresh, I still have the Buckeyes win huge. I'm a little leery on 24 as a road favorite. I think this is a 3-touchdown win. I don't necessarily know if it's a 4-score win.
Oh, I think they will pull away with some touchdowns late. Ryan Day wants style points just to make a statement. It will be early. I think Michigan State will show a fight. That second half goes, I'm saying 27, 30-point win for the Buckeyes.
It's an Abraham Lincoln game, 4 scores.
4 scores, yes, 7 years ago.
Oh, our country. Oh, the great times with Mr. Lincoln.